Greetings. Welcome to the Film School. I'm Joe.
I'm Chris.
I'm LJ.
Tonight we're going to talk about It, Chapter 2.
Swear it. If it isn't dead, if it ever comes back, we'll come back too.
When the first movie played and it says the end of chapter 1, audiences applauded. They wanted more. So now they're going to get more.
The second chapter starts 27 years later. The losers are summoned and they drop everything they're doing and they go back to Derry.
It's about these adults now confronting their deepest fears. And it's not just Pennywise, but it's what he holds over them.
The evil in Derry is lurking, so they have no choice but to finish what was started 27 years earlier.
No one who dies here ever really dies. But tell me, how is it being back in Derry?
Tonally, the movie will feel just like the first one, but we'll crank up the horror aspects of it.
Andy's just going for broke as far as scope and scares.
There's something otherworldly and magical about rediscovering the child in us.
There's this fight to remember how deep those bonds are.
With it, Andy put the people first. And as a result, you have an old-fashioned movie experience where you root for the good guys.
It's more than just a horror film. It's really a coming-of-age film.
There's a handful of moments that will make you not sleep at night. But the rest of it is this gorgeous journey of life and friendship.
This movie shows when you get together with your friends, there's nothing you can't accomplish.
Pennywise has a craving for the losers. He wants revenge, but it's more than that. He's missed them.
Hello?
Kid!
Hello.
So right off the bat, what'd you guys think of this movie? Compared, just on its own merits, not even compared to the first one.
I'll let Chris go first on that.
It was lacking a few things, but I liked it, but yeah, like you were saying, Joe, like the jump scares kind of got a little old.
Yeah,
but
a lot of repetitive jump scares. We are going to have spoilers, so we're going to have the magic spoiler wizard spoilers.
But all in all, it was a great cast. I thought they casted the adult characters perfectly. I thought it was
especially
job on the cast.
Bill Hader.
Yeah,
he was perfect.
He definitely stole the show for sure. So
I think he kind of steals everything he's in. So, but even Tropic Thunder, his small scenes, you're like, damn, he stole those from Tom Cruise.
Yeah, he played Tom Cruise's assistant in that. Right? Yeah.
So this movie picks up 27 years.
2 steps back.
In your own face. Yeah. I have to bleep that out. So the movie picks up 27 years after the original. All of the Losers Club are now grown up, and they've all gone their separate ways. And all being drawn back to Derry to once again take on Pennywise the clown.
The dancing
clown. And I thought, comparatively, the film was a little bit overlong at 2 hours and 49 minutes. A little super sentimental at the end, but and a few too many of repetitive type jump scares. But overall, it was an enjoyable film. But I think it follows the tradition of the TV miniseries, where the first half is awesome,
and the second half is a little cluster mess.
It had moments.
I'm super biased. I'm a huge fan of the novel. I loved it. Chapter 1, I think, is almost the perfect movie in a lot of aspects.
I'm probably.
And as much as I enjoyed it, Chapter 2, it did feel like it was a little cramming shit in there. You know,
I'm probably the only asshole here that hasn't read that book. So,
well, dude, I haven't read that book since 1991, so we're talking 28 years. So there's a lot of things. There's certain scenes in the movie I kept going, yeah, I don't remember that in the book. It could have been in the book, but I don't think it was.
I gave it another listen on Audible this summer, getting ready for
who read
Chapter
it?
2.
Who read the Audible?
I can't even remember.
It was Jimmy Stewart reading Stephen King's It. I'm Pennywise the Dancing Clown, see? No.
It's Peter Cullen.
Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime, doing the voice of Pennywise. Wouldn't that be awesome? That would
be awesome. I would like it. I mean, what really stood out to you guys, though?
Well, for me, I think the thing that stood out the most were the performances. I mean, there was some of the actors didn't have as much chemistry as I'd kind of hoped for, because all of the kids had really good chemistry, right?
Yeah.
Some of that just wasn't there for some of the adults, but ultimately it was a really good cast. It was definitely more faithful than the previous adaptation's second half.
Yes.
There are things that I liked about the cinematography and things I didn't like about the cinematography. Some of the transitional scenes were interesting at first, right? You know, it's like adults and then they're kids and then adults are in the frame, and you know that was kind of. But after a while, it was like a little too flashy. I wonder if he had a different cinematographer for this one. If it was the same guy who shot the first one.
Yeah, I'm not sure, dude. Sorry, I didn't do my research.
I didn't either. I saw the credits, but I just didn't pay attention.
I didn't pay attention to the credits at all. I could barely pronounce Andrew Muschietti.
Well, there was so much going on.
Trailer reaction.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot going on. Set-wise, costumes, cinematography, acting.
Although it was written by Gary Dauberman, who worked on The Swamp Thing, and he also wrote Annabelle.
Oh, really?
Movies,
okay.
yeah.
See, I love the Swamp Thing DC. If you haven't watched it, check it out on DC Universe. Unfortunately, it's done.
He actually directed the third Annabelle movie.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and speaking of Swamp Thing,
those movies.
Oh, come on! I like the Conjuring movies. I like the first. I have the first two Annabelle movies.
All right.
I haven't seen The Nun yet.
Be quiet.
I'll get on that.
The Nun was all right.
Yeah, it looked like it was all right, but the Conjuring movies are good. But speaking of Swamp Thing and another connection to it, the guy who played the older Stan was Alec Holland in Swamp Thing, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, holy shit, he was.
Yeah.
Nope.
And it's amazing how in the casting too, a lot of the grown-ups, not all of them, but a lot of them looked like the kids, the counterparts, like that they aged.
James McAvoy, I think, was the hardest one to sell, and they still sold it. Though.
Yeah, he was really good in that too.
But it's James McAvoy, man.
Yeah, bringing back the
For all
stutter.
we know, he was in our minds the whole time.
One of those things. I like James McAvoy. Can you believe he came from Shameless, the UK series?
Right,
That's so weird to me.
Unfamiliar to me.
Unfamiliar. You know the US version, Shameless, right?
No.
Yeah, people love it. I couldn't get into it, but that's just me. I like William H. Macy. Ultimately, it fell short in a lot of ways, and I think it was more ambitious than the first film. But I mean, especially with the running time, the first film's 2 hours and 15 minutes. This one's 2 hours and 49 minutes. And I think in their ambition, they did fall short of some of the elements that made the first one so good. Again, too much of a reliance on jump scares. Jump scares are nice, but when you have like 15 of them in one movie, it gets to be a little tiresome.
It's a little racy, and there's more to Pennywise than jump scares. Like, it is supposed to be psychological and messing with your mind.
Yeah.
He's in your head and toying with your emotions and your fears. He knows your weakness, or in Richie's case, he knows your dirty little secrets.
Yeah.
And he exploits that.
Yeah.
And they could have used more of a psychological thriller aspect as opposed to Jack in the Box.
Yeah. And I think the first film has a lot more of the psychological elements, don't you?
I agree.
And I think that's what made it so cool. Plus the nostalgia factor of the first one, because it's 1988 in the first one, and they're 13 years old. I was 12, so it was like totally relatable for me. Although I didn't listen to New Kids on the Block. So.
Sure.
Why not?
took out a picture and I put it on my wall, hanging stuff. Sorry, that's the only song I know. Is that the lyrics? I don't know.
Bagging on new kids, bud.
You love them. No, I feel like unfortunately. It just didn't come. It fell short from the compared to the original. Overall, it was still an entertaining film, though.
Still a great movie.
I still recommend seeing
really
it in the
liked
theater.
I just loved the first one. Like this one.
The ending was a little much for me too. Like I thought it got a little sappy there,
a little sentimental.
And I will rant if I may on you guys'
LJ,
show.
please do.
The ending is. It's a bunch of crap how they redirected Stan and rewrote that ending. And we kind of touched base on this post-production, pre-production, whatever. I don't know what I'm talking about. Outside of it. But that whole sappy plant.
His letter.
Stan writing him a letter, and I wasn't really killing myself. You know, I was taking myself out of the game.
Yeah.
And in the book.
That's not
and
it.
And even in the miniseries, he is literally so petrified of even considering going back to Derry to face Pennywise the Dancing Clown.
Yeah.
He would rather kill himself in a hot bath with his wife sitting downstairs.
Yeah.
Reading TV Guide.
and I knew
that feeds Pennywise. Even though it doesn't happen in Derry, he gets his energy ramping up to this by getting into their head right out of the gate. Hence the psychological thriller.
There were a lot of things.
I loathed that part of the ending.
Yeah. I mean, there were a lot of things in this that they culled from the novel that the original miniseries didn't have, which I thought was really cool. Like they got really into Pennywise's origin, which is really fascinating because it's more of a, you don't think about it because it seems more supernatural, but it's actually a paranormal, like more of a sci-fi horror film than it is a supernatural. Pennywise isn't magic. He's an alien being from a different dimension. And the rules of physics and things don't apply to him, which I thought was cool because even his body would manipulate into weird things. And
contortionist.
And speaking of, I mean, there was some nods to The Thing and to The Shining and some things like that that were a little out of place. A nice cameo by Stephen King, though.
Well, there was a nice cameo by Peter Bogdanovich too.
And he plays Peter, the director. I thought that was hilarious. I think I was the only one in the audience that I was sitting with, and I'm like. No way, Peter Bogdanovich. I guarantee you nobody knew who he was, so that was entertaining for me. But boy, is it me? Is Stephen King looking older?
He is older than shit.
Old, yeah.
Well, we actually had a cameo of one of the original Losers Club. The kid who played Ben in the miniseries is who adult Ben in this series movie. It's getting confusing. But that's who he's conference calling, who's saying we should put up more walls. That's Ben.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
So that's they did have a lot of cool cameos in there.
Yeah, nice.
It was nice little nods.
Well, and Andy Muschietti had a cameo. He's in the pharmacy.
Right.
In the background with his little ponytail pulled up, and just in the background.
What did you think of the music popping in when the lepers spewed?
That was a little weird.
It was out of place.
It was way out of place. I didn't get... What was the pop song again?
Oh, yeah.
It's the same one that's in Deadpool movies. Just call me Angel.
What? Where did that come? What the hell?
Yeah, I thought that
why?
was a little weird.
What?
I was like,
I didn't understand
this
that.
film definitely went for more gross out effects than psychological horror effects, which the first film had. But this also had a lot more humor than the first film, I think.
At least par for course, but maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely with Bill Hader. Like
maybe
every
that was
scene
just
he's
the
in.
extra 38 minutes or whatever too.
Well, I think the last 20 minutes was just it was like the Return of the King. You're like, okay, it's time to. Oh, there's more. Okay, we'll stick around for. It's over. Nope, it's still going. It was a little bit like that. I mean, ultimately, I'd probably give it 2.5 out of 3 stars on this one. Where the first one I gave 3 stars. It just falls just a little bit short. It's a decent follow-up, and maybe they'll play better together, like a back-to-back 5-hour marathon.
I could dig that.
That'd be fun.
Edibles and Halloween's creeping in.
I don't know. I give it 3 out of 5 or 3 out of 4. Sorry.
Really? Okay.
Considering on the trailer reaction, I gave it a 4 out of 4 out of bias alone.
Be honest. Just be true to yourself.
I would honestly, give It Chapter 1 a 4 out of 4. That is a perfect movie for me.
Fair.
This, I think it's being fair at 3 out of 4.
Okay. I'm going to stick with my 2.5 on this one. 3 for the original. Still a good movie-going experience.
Definitely worth seeing in the cinema for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Some nice visuals. Some of the CG doesn't play as well in this one as it did in the first one. I don't know, maybe they should have used some more practical visual effects. Like I've noticed other movies are starting to go back to, using...
They need to use more practical effects.
They need
really
to.
do. And less reliant on CG.
Yeah, it's really time. Because it's getting old.
Time.
Like The Void. I love The Void. I don't know if you've ever seen The Void. I know you've seen The Void.
No.
This Canadian horror film from, 2015? 2016?
Yeah.
It feels like a John Carpenter film. It's a little bit more...
Nice, I'm listening.
They use a lot more practical visual effects, and it's really impressive when they do that, as opposed to the CG. Like, again, the leper in this film with the tongue and everything was a little silly.
It was. The leper looked good in chapter 1, and the tongue kind of ruined it this time. Well, and the whole music... Cut the music.
Made no sense. Yeah. I will say this, though. Every scene that the younger version of The Losers was in was really nice because it was really nice at connecting the dots, right?
Yeah.
And putting everything together. And obviously, Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise is just... I thought he did a really good job.
He is Pennywise.
Yeah. I mean, I love...
Tim Curry's retired, Joe.
Yeah, but Tim Curry... they're different. Tim Curry has a more... Tim Curry frightens me more. Bill Skarsgård is creepy and monstrous, but Tim Curry is more of like what I would fear. Like he's the scarier to me.
Bill Skarsgård nails it for me.
Yeah, it's because you like the crazy eyes.
Tim Curry, Bill Skarsgård, we're calling you out.
Why do you? I don't. It's hard. No, they're both really good.
They're both really good.
And I think they, put their different spin on it.
Yeah.
On their,
Yeah. Well, which one frightens you more? That's all I'm asking, because for me, Tim Curry just frightens me more, although I love Bill Skarsgård in the role.
I don't know, man. It's hard to say.
It's a hard thing to say. Yeah.
Chris is a toss-up. That's all right. There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm probably gonna go with Tim Curry, dude.
All right.
For sure, but I mean,
just creepy.
Just barely.
The old guys.
Yeah. Yes, we are definitely. Oh, did you see this, Gray? Anyways, thank you very much for joining us, and let us know what you think. If you saw it, if you think that our opinions are right on the money, if you think that we're totally way off, if you loved it, if you hated it, we'd love to hear from you. And
always like and subscribe, please.
What he said.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
We're going to get him on here more, too.
Yes.
It's a good combo, right?
Huh? Three Stooges?
Shout ahead, wise guy. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode. Lovely.
Yeah,
okay.
Smells like dick.